Hey, what's up, Hope Shot family? Welcome back to another episode of Addiction to Success. Tonight we have Mike F. going to share his story, man, and this is going to be a good one. I already feel it. But if you guys jumping on, go ahead and say hi. Let us know you're here. Also, I'm going to read the clarity statement for the Hope Shot. We here at the Hope Shot are a group of people in recovery spreading inspiration. We come from all different walks of life and pathways of recovery. Our verbiage may be different at times, but we all have one thing in common: recovery as a lifestyle. We support all pathways of recovery. It doesn't matter how you get from A to Z, just get there. Thank you for being a part of our family. And if you guys would you please share this video? You never know who this might help, who Mike's story might touch tonight. And we would appreciate the support always. I'm going to say what's up, Bodie. We got Jamie here. What's up, Jamie? I'm gonna just introduce Mike real quick. So Mike, I met, of course, when I came in because he has some good recovery. He has about 14 years of solid recovery, and he's I remember meeting him with when I was still in my little dazed and confused stage, of if I wanted to do recovery or not. And I met him with one of my best friends, James, because he was doing recovery at the time. And Mike and him were at the beach, and they're at this. Mike, do you remember that the what was that?
4th of July.
What is it?
4th of July.
I think it was at the that little
Sunwest.
Sunwest. Thank you. Yeah. Damn, I couldn't get that off of my damn tip of my tongue. And I met him there. I'm like, who's this goofy motherfucker? But man, and it's just because of my shit, like I always judging, you're in that freaking lifestyle, you judging people, and I'm the one that should have been judged, you know what I mean? Because of the way I was. So, but after getting to know Mike, we went to when I first got in here and I finally surrendered to the fact that I can't put one in me. We had some good conversations at like these little retreats that we went to, and it was really cool, man. That first retreat was needed, for me in recovery, and it really set the tone for my recovery. And it's people like him that a lot of people stay, because of people like him that will give you a hug, man, make you feel welcomed. You know what I mean? We need those people, and he's one of them. So I'm going to let him tell his story. And like I said, guys, if you could share this live video, we would really appreciate it. And you never know who it's going to touch tonight. So Mike, go ahead, take it away, buddy.
Shalom, family. I'm an addict, and my name is Mike. And I guess it's impossible to tell my story without telling the story of the influence that my higher powers had on me, and the change that I'm still in the process of going through. It's been a while since I told my story, so hopefully it'll go smooth and you guys will bear with me. And I started to use alcohol first, about 12 years old. And the first time that I drank, I remember I drank until I threw up, and I realized that I just made room to drink more. And I was with some of the kids my own age, and they thought that was really fucked up. So I found some older friends because something happened. It was, however you want to phrase it, that there was definitely going to be more of that, and there was. In 8th grade, about 13, my mom, my stepfather were fighting a lot, which was the norm. I said to one of my older friends, I was talking about that, screaming at each other. And he said to me, he goes, listen, if you smoke this, he said, your problems won't go away, but you won't give a fuck. And man, I was like, that's good enough. And for a long time, you know what? I used to, escape. By the time I was by the time I hit high school, I was definitely an addict. Um, I was also, I was somewhat popular, and I was one of the people that would, you know, encourage some of my friends to try things that they might not have tried on their own, and just part of the deal. I didn't graduate high school. I dropped out senior year. Um, I did join the GED program. I did get a degree. I didn't want to waste all of that time with nothing to show for it. Let's see. I'm from New York. Born in Brooklyn, grew up on Staten Island, and in the '80s, and there was one certain drug that became, man, really popular. It was everywhere. Everybody I knew was doing it, and I seen a lot of bad shit happen to a lot of people. And you know what? Man, I realized even then that dope was the great equalizer. It didn't matter if you were a guy or a girl, if you were white, black, like anything. Like, man, it was killing everybody. Like it didn't care what you looked like. And when I realized I had a pretty short lifespan, but like it was what it was. And I've had the opportunity to move to Florida. And as we all know, there's no drugs in Florida, right? The problem was New York, and my first day in Florida, I was unpacking boxes. I called Pizza Hut. And the dude that brought the pizza over, he talked for a few minutes, and he was back in a half hour with something for me. Like, obviously, the problem wasn't where I came from. It was me. But I was not ready to admit that yet. If you would have asked me then, the problem was anything but me. I started to get arrested. In fact, man, there were a lot of times in New York as a kid that I almost got arrested, but it was different back then. Where I had an uncle who was a detective, and he used to give my grandfather this. It looked like a credit card, but it was a detective. It was basically a get out of jail card, is what it was. And my grandfather used to give it to me because he kind of knew that I needed it. And man, I think I would show that, and they would let me go. Now, one time, one of the cops kept it. He said, "If you want it back, you can have your uncle ask it for me." I'm like, you can have that shit. Like that was pushing it. But it didn't really dawn on me that what I was doing, like the consequences of the actions. I just I don't know. I just kept doing it. It's just how it was. So I moved to Florida. I had a job, and I had a job for a long time, and I was one of them people that my bills were paid, my electric was never turned off, my cable wasn't turned off. My friends, a lot of the guys that I hung around, their relationships were like episodes of Jerry Springer. It was always like craziness. They were getting fired all the time, getting kicked out of where they lived, and it was easy for me to say they're the ones with the problem. I got this. Meanwhile, my life was completely unmanageable for a really long time. I wasn't somebody that prayed unless it was I would pray for the Yankees to win or to get me out of trouble, and that was really it. I didn't think that I didn't think I needed any kind of higher power. I was convinced that I got this was one of the phrases that I used most often. I don't like to tell a lot of war stories, but I don't think that's why we do what we do. But there really wasn't anything that I didn't try. There were some things I liked more than others. But now I was pretty much good with whatever. I can't say in the mid '90s I got a DUI while I was waiting for a DUI court date, and I remember the cop that arrested me. Man, he looked at me. And he was like, "People like you kill people." And it was years before I realized how right he was. At the time, all I thought was, man, this dude's a fucking dick. Like it was his fault that I was getting arrested. You know, in fact, you know what? After that, I sold my truck because you know what? The truck was bad luck. All right, I didn't have a drinking problem. That fucking white S10 I had was bad luck, and that's why I kept getting DUIs. And I believed that. Like for a long time, the problem was never me. Okay, and even to this day, you know what? It's easier for me to take somebody else's inventory than it is to look in the mirror and to admit that I fucked up. All right, now it's much easier today than it's ever been. Okay, and a big part of that is I don't do like fucked up shit like I used to, but working the steps in a program has taught me a lot about personal accountability, responsibility, being an honorable man, which is something that I'll get to a little later. In 07, 06 and 07, the housing market crashed. I had a business selling and fixing tools, selling fasteners, nails, and nail guns, and staples, and the business went under. Most of my customers were subs and contractors. They went bankrupt. I went bankrupt, and instead of admitting that I needed help, that I had a problem, maybe go into a fucking detox, I came up with this brilliant plan that, you know what, I was going to start selling dope, and in a month, I was going to have a mansion with a tiger and a fucking big world on a world statue, you know, and but man, I always loved drugs more than money, and monkeys don't sell bananas, right? And it was only a matter of hours before I was my best customer. I went for a few months. I got arrested. I got set up by a guy that I thought was my best friend, and I was in jail for about a week, and I got out, and I was like, man, I need money for a lawyer and this and that, and this time, man, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna fucking sell it, and I was gonna find this guy and shoot him in the face. Luckily, I never found him, and a few months later, I was arrested again, and this time it was the trafficking. That was November 29th, 2007. I remember the date clearly because my clean date is November 30th, 2007, the day after. Now, obviously, I didn't get clean on purpose. Okay, I was back in jail, and I don't remember much the first 3 or 4 days. Like all I really did was sleep, and I remember coming to, and nobody would take my calls, answer my letters, put any money on my books. I remember being freezing all the time and hungry. and definitely pretty miserable. Okay, but man, I didn't know, but I was becoming ripe for change. Okay, over the course of a few days, there were a couple of events that happened that are significant for my story. All right, one was an officer came over. Man, thank God he wasn't talking to me because I wouldn't have listened. But he says to the guy next to me that he's in here on the 20-year plan. It would be 5 or 6 years at a time, but it'll be 20 by the time he's done. I realized that I was almost 40, and I was figured I would die. Like, man, I was going to die at 27, like Hendrix and Morrison. Like, that was always the plan, and I was way past that. And I realized that if I didn't do things differently, I was going to grow old, alone, and forgotten in prison. And it scared me more than dying did. Like, it really terrified me, might even be the right word. Okay, like it opened the door. It allowed me to become willing to do something different. I didn't really know what. I went to a church thing, and the guy that did it wasn't really a mass. It was more like maybe a Bible study or a class, and something happened during that time where I felt the presence of my higher power, and I felt forgiven. Okay, not who I could have been and who I should have been and who I might be one day, but man, the addict criminal in jail, like, I felt loved and forgiven, and I will say something that stands to still true to today. In gratitude of that feeling, like I knew I was going to be a different person, and not because, like, what, for years I knew I was going to hell and blah 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 and all of these different stories about whatever. And when I realized that my higher power loved me, in gratitude for that, I decided to become a different person. And once again, didn't know how, didn't know what to do, just was ready. And I know we don't do a lot of fellowship talk on here, but they asked over the intercom if anybody wanted to go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Now, I knew NA wasn't going to work for me. Okay, I knew when I got out that they were going to find my body in a bathroom somewhere, surrounded by broken glass, and I knew this. It was I could have passed the lie detector. It was inevitable, but it was so cold in the pod. I thought, man, wherever they're holding that meeting might be warmer than it is here, and I'm going to go, and I did. And at that meeting, this dude, Michael K, said that he wasn't a prisoner in the bathrooms anymore. Man, I swear it hit me. I don't know if you guys ever been fucking punched in the nose where you're stung and I realized in jail that I was more free in jail than I had been on the street. I'd been in there about a month, give or take, and the time I started, that first time I got drunk at 12 until a month before my 40th birthday, this was the longest. This is the only time I'd ever been clean, like, in my entire life. And I got hope. I remember reading some literature and wondering, man, what if this could actually work? What if I didn't have to use? I made bond eventually. I got out and I went to a meeting my first day out. There's a big statistic, say people coming out of a jail or a detox, they hit a meeting their first day out. you have a much better chance of recovering than if you wait even one day. Although thinking comes back really fast. I didn't know that. I just got lucky. I went my first day and I met some cool people. But what I understood from that first meeting was that these people knew me in a way that my family, who had known me my whole life, couldn't understand. Like they knew what we would do for one more. And for one more, I robbed my own mother. I mean, people think that I love, not someone that you don't like and it doesn't matter, or some stranger. People that I knew and loved. Think about what it takes to have somebody do that, and yet, man, it happened. And there were people in that room that hadn't had one more. Some of them for years and years and years, and I was like, man, if they could do it, maybe I could too. And I kept coming back. For most of my life, I thought I was smarter than everybody else. Like, and that's so far from the truth, but I needed control. Anyway, I luckily, the gift of desperation is what we call it when we come in hungry and willing to do things differently. And I made a deal with myself that if 2 or 3 guys, men, that all had more than a year clean, told me the same thing, that I was going to do it. Whether I thought it was a good idea or not, like I understood my best thinking wasn't something that could be really relied on, and that, you know, that I needed help. Okay, wasn't really willing to ask for a whole lot of help at first. It's not really who I am or where I come from. But I found the humility to call people, to ask for rides for meetings. I would ask people, mostly the guys, I would ask them like how they did it. And when I would buy something, man, I wanted to meet the guy that my guy was getting shit from. Okay, I wanted a better deal. I wanted it fucking purer, cleaner, and fucking like more. And they told me that I needed to chase recovery the way that I chased the dope. So I took that mentality, and man, if somebody had 5 years, 10 years, man, I would glue myself to them after a meeting. I don't know if I annoyed them a whole lot, but like I asked questions, and I would ask the same questions of the different guys to see if I got the same answers, because not everybody does everything the same, and that's okay. I got involved with service. Service was a big game changer for me. I was always a very selfish person. I didn't really think about anybody else. I mean, it just didn't matter. Okay, like unless there was something I could get from them, they really weren't very important. And service started to teach me empathy. It started to teach me that other people matter. Their feelings are just as important as mine. Service started to teach me humility, which is, man, something that I was severely lacking, and I'm still looking to improve on today. It's funny, when I joined H&I, and I knew eventually I was going to have to go before the judge, and I wanted to tell him that I was doing H&I and I was going into detox and I was helping people, because I thought maybe that would get me a lighter sentence. Because once again, I was always somebody, I was trying to get an edge, look for a shortcut, try to control an outcome, make shit work out the way that I wanted it to. Only something happened over that year that I was out on bond. I would see people in meetings that were in the detox, and they would come to meetings and they would say, man, I heard your story, and I figured that I would give this a try. And man, I was always somebody like I was always going down the wrong path, and I took a lot of people with me. And all of a sudden, like I was going on the narrow road, and the people were coming with me there, and it felt good. I started to realize that I could be a positive example, and once again, man, it was cool. Like it felt good to do the next right thing. In fact, that's funny. That's one of our sayings is we do the next right thing even when nobody's looking. When I said something to that a lot of time, I said, I don't always know the next right thing. I haven't done that for a long time. And he looks me straight in the face and goes, you know what the wrong thing is? Just don't do that. And I was like, okay, like simple is good for somebody like me, all right? I tend to want to complicate things, and I can break things down and keep it simple. It saves me a lot of trouble. So I started practicing that. I started practicing, not lying as much. I ain't gonna say I stopped lying right off the bat, but I was definitely lying less and less, especially to myself. And I got a sponsor, and I worked the 12 steps with my sponsor. And I know we don't talk about a lot of other fellowships here, and I don't know this right or wrong, but I know that working the 12 steps brought me, it cemented a relationship with me and my higher power. Okay? It got us rock solid, but it also freed me in a lot of ways. It allowed me to look at patterns in my life of why I was constantly fucking my own life up over and over again. I would sabotage my own life. I didn't feel I was worthy to be loved or worthy to be happy. I didn't. I thought that I always had to have all the answers, and the steps taught me that there was a power greater than myself. That I didn't have to know everything. I could say I don't know and mean it, and that it was okay. Man, I've always had a conscience, okay? And listen, I know some cold motherfuckers that could do some fucking evil shit, sit down, eat dinner, and never think about it again. And that was not me. And I had trouble sleeping for a long time, and working the steps allowed me to right the wrongs that I had done. It gave me an opportunity to clear my conscience. It gave me an opportunity to understand that every action has consequences, and we're free to do what we want as long as we're willing to pay them. And that I didn't have to just react to things. I could stop. I could think about what the outcome would be. Now, obviously, being clean made all the difference with this. Being in a right frame of mind, and so anyway, so back to service and H&I, and I joined H&I, like I said, with a motive of using it to help myself. But when the time came, I went to court, and there were like 30 people from my fellowship came there that day to see me off. And I had my chance to talk to the judge, and the prosecutor, they wanted to give me like 80-something months. I caught the traffic charge when I was out on bail with possession with intent, and I had all of these charges, and they thought I was just a big drug dealer. And I remember telling the judge, I said, Your Honor, I said, if I didn't get arrested, I said, I would definitely be dead by now. And I said, I got my friends and my family here. I said, I'm clean. I said, I'm good with God, and I'm ready to make my amends to society. And I was, man, I was good with, I knew God was with me, okay? And I knew whatever happened, that I was not going to be alone wherever I went. And the judge looked at me, and he gave me 36 months, which was the minimum if you're in Florida and you're trafficking, 36 months is the minimum mandatory sentence. And so I went up the road, and it was funny. You know what? When I got to the reception center, and I was surrounded by thousands of guys that I didn't know. I remember this horrible blackness came over me, and I understood that I was lonely. I didn't have anyone around me that knew me or cared about me, and I understood that it was a very human thing to feel, and that it was okay. And I allowed myself to feel it, and then I moved on. And that was something that I learned from the steps too. Like, it's okay to feel things. I don't have to shove everything down. I don't have to, whatever. I got sent to a camp. I started a meeting at the prison I went to. It took a long time to get it going. I kept writing letters to the warden and the assistant warden, asking if there was a room we could use. And on my third letter, they suggested it was probably a good idea for me to stop bothering them asking for a room. And I understood what they were saying. It was kind of an implied threat. I started one out in the yard. And when I left, we had 10 home group members attend. I mean, all we had to do was one basic text we used to pass around, and I wrote, it's funny, I wrote friends of mine in my area. I told them what I was doing, and lit started piling in. Something else. This is important. The 2 months that I was in jail after I got arrested, I had this big group of guys around me. They were my friends, my brothers, like, dude, blah, blah, blah. We got your back no matter what. Right. Not one of them put $5 on my book. All right. I mean, they replaced me in 2 seconds, and it hurt. You know what? As time went by, I remembered how many people that I had replaced just like that. But it's different when it's me. You know what I'm saying? Like it. Anyway, after my year in the rooms, I went up the road. There was one point where I almost got beat up in prison because these guys were so jealous of how much mail that I was getting, and it was my friends in the program. Like they didn't forget me. They remembered me, and it felt good. It felt good to be missed, to be cared about. And listen, there was nothing I could do for them. There was nothing I could do, and yet they did for me. And we say grateful addicts don't pick up, and that's about as true as it gets. I remember being up the road and smiling, and people ask me why I'm happy. I'm not really happy, but I'm grateful. They said, what are you grateful for? I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to be here forever. I had to be careful what you said that around, because, some people were going to be there forever. I ended up getting out. Actually, you know what? Before I got out, I went to work release, and I started a meeting there too, right? And I'm not saying this for any other reason than it's what I needed to do to help stay clean. It's like I needed a bigger purpose than just being in there and trying to not get in trouble. Like if what you think about is not using, you're going to use. There has to be something more, and doing service can be that something more. Now it's funny that I met a guy from H&I I was in Miami for work release, and he brought meetings in there. He named Stevie D. Really good dude. Had 30 years, which was an incredible amount of time. In fact, he came in there one night that it was his actual I forget what he had. It was 25, 30. It was some crazy number. But instead of being at a meeting somewhere, picking up a tea tag and celebrating, he was at the work release center carrying a message. And I respected that so much. I still do. Hey, if anybody knows him, tell him, all right? All right, so I got out in August 2011. And the first thing I did, right back getting involved, I got a home group. I reconnected with my sponsor. I filled my phone number with people that were doing the deal. Okay, I'm very careful about who I spend my time with. Okay, I'll hug anybody at a meeting, whichever meeting I'm at, and I'm happy to see everybody. I'm glad they're there, whether they're clean or not. But I don't spend my time with just anybody. Okay, I want to make sure that they're on the same path that I am. Okay, that they number one don't want to use, that they want to help other people, that they want to do the deal. Okay, it's all about doing the deal. And like, as soon as I got out, I did a 90 and 90 again, 90 meetings, 90 days, and I got right back involved with service. And I didn't have much of a plan as far as what I was going to do. I got a job in a restaurant. People would ask me if I was going to go to school, if I was going to do this. And I said, well, I'm going to get back involved with service and see what God's plan is for me. And God had a pretty good plan. I wound up changing jobs. It's kind of a factory. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing exciting, but man, it's pretty good. I've been there for over 9 years. They loved me there. I've never called out sick. I'm a trusted employee there, you know. And it's fine. People used to ask me when I first got hired if I wanted to go get a beer after work, and I'd be like, "Sorry, I got shit to do next month." And they didn't really understand, and I didn't have to really explain too much. But you know, after a while, they stopped asking. And once I got to know some of the people, I basically today, anybody that works there knows, you know, that I'm in the program. And you know, I used very openly. I really didn't care who was around, and it wasn't. I didn't hide shit. I was a public nuisance. Okay, and I recover openly today. Okay, I'm not ashamed of where I've been or where I'm going. Okay? Anything that man, our past, as embarrassing or shameful as it may be, does not have to be anything negative anymore, as long as we can use it to help somebody else. Okay, my higher power, grace turns everything around. And once again, another reason to be grateful. I got married, I want to say 3 years ago. I know she's watching. And hi, honey. She's in the program too, all right? And we have like a fantastic relationship. It's not perfect because we're human, and you know, humans are fucking humans, right? But like, now I'm able to communicate better than I ever have. I mean, it's not my strong point. Okay, it's definitely not, but I'm better at it. We have a patience and an understanding of each other, being, you know, coming from the same place. We bought a house together. In fact, this is my front porch that I'm on right now. We got some land and dogs, and it's like, it's good. Now, not everything gets promised to everybody. Okay, like everything's just for today, all right? But if we don't use just for today, you start to get a few days in a row, okay? And then you get a few weeks in a row. Then we get a few months in a row. The obsession to use gets lifted. And I can't talk about the blessing that is, okay? Like, for most of my life, I can honestly say I didn't really have a choice. I was going to use one of any number of substances, depending on where I was going, what time it was, how much money I had, et cetera, okay? Before I went anywhere, it didn't matter if I was just going shopping. And it's funny because I used to think I was this rebel and I was free and nobody could tell me what to do, but I was a slave puppet to my disease. And today, like, I'm free, okay? I have the choice to not use. And to me, the choice is priceless. Okay, I don't go to bars and drink soda and shoot pool. You won't see me on the corner at 10 o'clock at night, or, like, anywhere that I shouldn't be. Okay, I don't jeopardize my recovery. It's too important to me. My clean date's too important to me. I couldn't imagine fucking that up. But I know that I would if I was in the wrong situation enough times. So I'm careful. I don't know. I could probably talk for another 2 hours, but I think I nailed about a half hour, which was the goal. I'm grateful to everybody out there that took time out to listen to this, and I hope there was something that I said that helped somebody. Shalom.
Thanks, Mike, man. That was great. And there's a lot of nuggets that you put out there, dude, that somebody can just take it and run with it, especially if they're new in recovery, or maybe they're just having, one of those times in recovery where you're like uncertain if you want to stay, you know what I mean? Because we all have those at one time, That's why it's important that we, like you said, recover out loud, man, and take that mess, like exactly what you said. I love what you said. It's like, we don't have to be shameful of our past as long as we use it to help another person that's struggling or that wants to find recovery, man, and that's super important, man, that we use that, and that's the whole thing for the soap shop, man, spreading it, like a wildfire, man, that's it, Mike, you're one of the people that I look up to in this deal. You're solid, man. You're the same person inside, outside. I don't know what it's like behind closed doors with your wife, though. But but I can just imagine. Wait, that sounded real bad. But man, it's like, we need people like you. We all need to freaking be able to reach out to the addict that's still suffering, and especially when they come up in the rooms. And I'm one that has a hard time sometimes, man. But you've taught me to be a little bit better with doing it. And then service, man. Doing service work, is huge with you. And I think that's very, there's a lot of people that commented on here that said, that you were in the detox that they were at. I think it was Christina said it on here, that, you're the reason she stayed, and I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there, dude. If they knew this was happening right now, that would have a list of them. You know what I mean? Because you were that dude, but it's cool, man. The way recovery family comes and they're there for you.
Yeah.
When you're going through shit, like you go into jail and you're going to get beat up over a bunch of letters because people showed up for you. Like the friendships, the relationships that we get in this deal is like no other, and they don't want nothing from you. Not a lick.
No. Well, all they wanted to do was to see me do well.
Exactly. And be there for you in this freaking hard time, and I think that's so cool, man. That's one good thing, man. It's like, I never knew what friendship was till I got here. I never knew what freaking love was till I got here,
Yeah.
and that's freaking awesome, man. So, Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing tonight, Mike. Like I said, you're truly a blessing to recovery. And I want to thank all you for coming on here and listen to us. And maybe hopefully you got some hope out of this, man. And want to continue your journey or maybe start it. You never know. If you guys ever need any need to talk, or if you guys need to reach out, we're always here. You can hit us up in Messenger. And we'll be on this Sunday at 8 p.m. live right here on Facebook to do our topics, man. We're going to just talk about recovery here on Sunday. And maybe we'll get Mike one day to come up on here. Mike talk about, see me up on the corner at 10 o'clock. Shit, we can't even get you at 8, bro. Mike's the early morning riser, so it's hard to get him on here. So he has a vacation this week, and we're like, man, I'm going to get him before it's too late. So anyways, but thanks, Mike, so much for coming on here, man. And thank you guys. Love you all.
Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome, my friend. Good night, guys.